Okay, today I'm going to show you guys how to re-grip and reshaft any type of iron you want to do. I thought it was pretty complicated until I learned how to do it. It's pretty easy, so I'm going to teach you guys how to do it. All you're going to need is a blowtorch, the grips, sandpaper, a saw, electrical tape, Sharpie, the adhesive to put the club head back on, the grip tapes, some solvent, and I prefer using one of these vices. It makes everything easier. So that's all you're gonna need. I know it seems like a lot, but a bunch of stuff comes in packages and it's pretty cheap. I mean, you can get all this stuff minus the grips for probably about 20 bucks at Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that. So first, obviously you need the shaft. I'm using a KBS Players Graphite and 70 grams. You're also going to need obviously the iron that you're going to be replacing that with. I'm using a Takomo 201 KBS Torlight shaft. I'm just going to be doing a review on how graphite shafts work, so we're going to go from there. Okay, so obviously the first thing you're going to do is, at least for me, I'm not going to be taking the grip off or anything. I like this grip. It's a Line Golf Pride MC Plus 4. I might be going back to these iron shafts, so I'm going to keep it. So I'm just going to be taking the head off, right? So obviously we're going to need some ferrules too. That's one thing I did forget to mention. So take your vise. This just comes in any type of grip replacement. So I put it in, and then obviously we tighten the vise up. They do make vices for golf club specific replacements. I find you don't need them. They tend to be a little bit more expensive. You can just go to your local hardware store and get something there. But that's in there. So now what we're going to do, simply just take this and just apply even pressure or even heat all the way across the club for about 30 seconds to a minute. Once we see it start smoking, smoke coming out, that's usually a pretty good sign to take the head off. And don't be worried about damaging the hosel. You can just take the hosel off when you take the club head off. So they're pretty cheap to get. But just make sure you're applying even heat. Don't want to get any areas that you're gonna, warp the metal or anything like that, because these are obviously expensive clubs and you want to do it right the first time. Okay, I think we're basically done. So I'll turn that off. See it smoke a little bit. Grab the other side. Grab the 10. This end. Obviously, you don't want to. Might need a little bit more. Looks like. Oh, yep. There we go. And just slowly take it off. And there you go. Now it's off. That easy. One thing I do like to do is I like to take this. Obviously, there's a bunch of resin and stuff in there. I get my drill, put one of these things on the end. You can get these off Temu. That's where I got mine. The bit per se for super cheap. So just take it, put it in, and give it a nice little. Look at that. You gotta be careful with the clubs because they do transfer the heat pretty well throughout the whole club. So the bottom end of the club is gonna get hot. So just be careful, obviously. Okay, now you don't got to do this part if you buy the right tip, but I did not buy the right tip. So luckily it's pretty easy to do with graphite. All you have to do, take that sandpaper again. I just cut a little strip off, wrap it around. I need the 0.355. These are 0.370. So I just take this and go back and forth. I apply a decent amount of pressure because it just does take a while. So make sure you're looking at what tips you're buying before you buy them. Okay, so we try again. Look at that. Perfect fit. Boom. So now what I do is I take my Sharpie and make just a little bit of a mark right here. And that lets me know where the ferrule should be. Take it off. And you obviously don't want it to be too loose, right? That's just loose enough to where it's going to grit and hold. Okay, so now we're going to slide the ferrule on. Twist. Get it up there nice and tight like. Okay. Make sure it fits. Yep, perfect. Okay, so now what we do is we get our epoxy out. So with the epoxy, we're gonna undo this tip here. Might have to budge it open or use a T or something to get it open because stuff is like cement as soon as it sticks. So I've already used this, so it's obviously gonna be a little bit tougher to get out. Gosh. Okay, so you take it off, put a little bit of a dab right there, make sure you get both, and then make sure you don't get any excess, suck it back down, and then put the top back on. Like that. Okay, then I just take a T and then mix this around really well. So it kind of forms out more of a white hue instead of being clear. Like that. And I just take it. Rub it on here. Okay. Just like this. And you take some. I put it in here. Start at the bottom and then work your way up in a circular motion. What you're going to simply do is slide that on. And obviously I like to release it from here and then come lay it on the ground where it's a clean place to rest and dry. So now we're going to leave that to dry and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, now I want to show you the finished product. So right here, as you can see, frill and club are now fixed. Obviously I could probably take a little bit of acetone to that, but this is just meant to show you that, you know, you don't have to go to a wildly expensive club fitter to get all this done. Are they going to do it better? Probably, yeah. But, you know, the more you do this, the better you're going to get and the more money you're going to save. So let me just show you that this works now. well, a little bit of a push there, but it works. Carried 152. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.